Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tempe City Council work study session. Item number 1 is call to order. Council meetings can be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Members of the public may also attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Teams. Guidelines for conduct at City Council meetings are on the table near the entrance for those in attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now play a video with the proper protocol for ensuring the appropriate conduct at City Council meetings.
The City of Tempe welcomes public comment at this time. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed. Continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. We need to be able to hear everyone in the room. Behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any city council meeting is not helpful and is not permitted. This includes behavior both inside and outside of the council chambers. Should individuals inside the council chambers become disruptive so that city business is not able to be conducted, the mayor will first ask that the individuals allow city business to be completed. There will be time for public comment during the call to the audience portion of the meeting. If no cooperation, the mayor will issue a verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is still no cooperation, the mayor will issue a second verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is no cooperation after asking and 2 verbal warnings, then the mayor will ask security officers to remove only those individuals who are causing the disruption. Security personnel should not engage in any way, but only escort them from the council chambers. If individuals refuse to leave, security personnel shall warn them that they are trespassing and that the next step will be arrest by a Tempe police officer. Tempe officers may have to arrest if individuals refuse to leave. Charges for trespass and disorderly conduct may apply, as well as other charges. Should anyone be asked to be removed, the mayor will recess the meeting.
All right, item number 2 is call to the audience. The City Council welcomes public comment at this time for the issue review session and committee of the whole items on this work study session agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Madam Clerk, do we have any cards this evening?
I have not received any.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. That brings us to item number 3, our issue review session. The first item here is item 3A, combating gun violence in school. And let's see, which city staff member is going to come up and give a presentation? All right, I see Chief McCoy, Commander Hale. Wonderful. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. So good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Chief McCoy. It's an honor to be here with you today to provide an update on our efforts in schools, specifically with our dedicated school resource officers. The SROs are specially trained officers who are instrumental in creating a safe and nurturing environment for our students, teachers, and staff. I'm joined today by Commander Kim Hale and Sergeant Joy Brudnock, who will be highlighting the SRO program and our exceptional work. So, gentlemen.
Mayor, Council, appreciate this opportunity to be here today. So we're going to go through and discuss some key issues and that we really try to adhere to as far as combating the school gun violence in our schools. These are, there we go, all supporting a performance measure 1.07, which is regarding satisfaction in the quality of our local police services. So the presentation, we're going to go over 5 of these programs, initiatives that are aimed at combating school violence, and an outline of the Tempe school information and the Tempe PD officers working in our schools, and then specific data on gun violence in Arizona, as well as in our schools during that same period from 2018 to 2023. So when we talk about the 5 effective programs, these are the 5 that we're going to touch on throughout the program. And these are what people consider the best practices. And so first one, of course, is having SROs in our schools, the trained law enforcement officers within the schools to form the relationships with our staff and the students, to help teach, to help be there as a presence and respond to incidents on campus if needed. Threat assessment teams. I can't stress how important these threat assessment teams. And these are collaborative partnerships between school staff and the administration, our law enforcement officers, the mental health practitioners on the school campuses. They all work together and to make sure that they can look after the students on campus. Mental health services, that's the comprehensive mental health services that the schools do provide. They have access to counselors on campus as well as psychological services that the school is ready to provide to students. Anonymous reporting systems, This is encouraging students and staff to come forward anonymously, provide us any kind of information, and then, of course, in person as we build relationships and trust on the campuses. And then last but not least is community engagement. So these 5 all work together in partnership to create a safer school campus for us. Besides I'll call it our big 3, the main schools, Tempe Union High School, Kyrene Elementary, and Tempe Elementary School District, we have partnerships and we work with several different schools and educational facilities throughout the city of Tempe. And as we move forward here, I'm going to turn this over to Joey. And I can tell you that one of the things I just wanted to touch on really quick, if you just indulge me here, is Joey's been with our schools for about 10 years. And he's been sitting in the seat watching over the program. The program is successful because of people that have passion and they're professional. And nobody brings that professionalism and passion more than Joey Brudnock. And so he's going to talk about incidences and things that happened in the last 5 years. He knows every one of them because he lived them. He was there. And so it's just a privilege to be here with Joey.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having us here today. So again, our school resource officer program, a unique program, and Kim had mentioned earlier, everything we do is a collaborative effort. We wouldn't be successful without our SROs working with our students on campus, with our parents, with our staff on campus, with any community members that live in the neighborhood that have anything around the neighborhood. It's this collaborative effort. We have 9 school resource officers that are assigned, and we have 4 high schools and 4 high schools, 4 middle schools, and 1 K-8 school. They're all funded through the state of Arizona through our school safety program grant. So we're fortunate enough for the city of Tempe to have this partnership with the Tempe Union High School District, the Tempe Elementary School District, and the Kyrene School District to have officers assigned. So this school safety program started in 1994. Originally, it was going to put school resource officers and juvenile probation officers in the school. The whole goal was a safe learning environment for students and staff and everybody. So having the SROs there, it evolved over the years. They added counselors, they added social workers. But we've been very, very honored to be part of this, with working in this relationship with these 3 main school districts. And that allows us to have, again, our officers at our high schools, our 4 main high schools in Tempe, and then our 4 of our main middle schools and 1 K-8 school. And again, the school district applies for the grant, and we work with them collaboratively to see, where would be the best fit for SROs at the different schools. And again, everything we do is, our goal is a safe environment every single day. Number 1 goal, every single day that we come to work, we work collaboratively with everyone, is safety on campus first, and then everything after that. And Tempe Elementary School District has 23 total schools. They have schools in Tempe, obviously, and City of Phoenix, Town of Guadalupe. And again, we have our 4 SROs that are assigned through the Tempe Elementary District, at the middle schools and at the K-8 school. We have Cody Kleppe, who's at Mosley Middle School. Mosley has about 700 students. We were lucky to have an officer there. We have Jade Bixler is our SRO at Fees Middle School, about 750 students at that campus. Dave Larson's at Conley Middle School. He's our SRO there. We got about 900 students on that campus. And then Michelle Reyes is at Cecil Shamley School. So this was the first year of the 3-year grant that we actually have had an SRO at a K-8 school. So Shamley up in the north part of Tempe, we've never had an officer assigned up there. They rebuilt that school 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's a really wonderful opportunity for our SRO to work with that K-8 population at the school. And so Tempe Elementary, about 12,000 students in all of their campuses.
Quick thing, actually, too. Councilmember Hodge has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know why. Oh, okay. My question is for everybody else. There is more schools outside of the district. Can you explain the combine between the high schools, and the middle schools that are not in Tempe, city of Tempe, but they do have something similar, so everybody can understand that all the schools are collaborate together when it comes to SROs?
Yeah, and we work with this collaborative effort with our partner agencies. I'll get in a moment to Tempe Union High School District, which has 6 high schools, 4 of them in Tempe, 2 of them over in Phoenix. But we work very closely. The school districts, Arizona's an interesting state, right? We have so many different school districts. I don't have the number, but there's a ton of school districts in this state. And so there's monies available through the Department of Education for the school safety program. And then again, the school districts work. They identify which schools they want, and they apply for the grant, whether it's either for the school resource officer, possibly a juvenile probation officer, counselor, social worker. And then if you've been following on the news with, there's tons of money for SROs at all these campuses. It's just a lot of the agencies didn't have officers to fill it. But we were very lucky to be able to, to work, closely with Tempe Elementary, Kyrene, Tempe Union High School District to fill their needs at this time. Okay, thank you. And then Kyrene School District, Kyrene has 26 schools total. They're in Tempe, they're in Chandler, they're in Phoenix. We work with our SRO, Pete Walters. He's at Kyrene Middle School. So we about 15,000 students totally in the Kyrene district. Kyrene School District, I think is about 750 kids currently on campus at that school this year. And then Tempe Union High School District. So here we have our partnership with Tempe Union High School District. They have 6 high schools. They have the 4 here in Tempe, which Corona del Sol High School, Marcos Denizo, McClintock High School, Tempe High School. So the 4 Tempe schools. Then we have the schools over in Phoenix and Ahwatukee, Mountain Point High School and Desert Vista High School. And then they have the Innovation Center. Everyone's familiar with the old Compadre High School. They've renamed it. It's this Innovation Center. They do a lot of training. We have students at times on that campus as well. So they have the 6 high schools plus the Innovation Center. We have our a wonderful high school SROs that we have. Charles Phoenix is our SRO over at Corona del Sol High School. I think Corona is about 2,600 or so kids for attendance this year. Amy Pfeiffer's our SRO at Marcos Deniza High School. We get about 1,700, 1,800 kids, I think, at Marcos Deniza. Natalie Barella's our SRO at McClintock High School, and I think they're at around that 1,800 range there. And then Rob Applegate is our SRO at Tempe High School. And I think Tempe High School is about 1,500 population there this year. So overall, Tempe Union High School, 11,000 kids for the whole district. And then, as I said, the different schools that we have, our SROs. Our SROs, part of the school safety program. So part of that is we have to adhere to the grant requirements, which is 1 officer per campus. So they have to be 1 officer per campus. They have to be on campus. They have to keep a log, so they have to be there 80% of the time on campus during the school day. Teaching requirement, we teach law-related education, so our SROs are in partnership with the teachers. We get into the classroom, and we're helping to prepare our kids for success. Our middle school kids or our K through 8 kids, K through 8 schools, we're going to get those kids ready and help prepare them for success with the teachers and the parents and everybody for success, high school and beyond. Our high school kids, we're really working very closely with our teachers and staff at our high schools, our SROs there, to prepare our kids for success for whatever they want to do after that. They want to go in the military, they want to go to college, they want to go work, they want to be, live in our community here in Tempe and be our neighbors. We're doing everything we can to work very closely with everybody on campus, all staff and parents and kids, to prepare them for success going forward. So our SROs do a bunch of different training. We have the basic training we have as police officers here in the city of Tempe, but we get extra training that we want for picking the right person. The key to the SRO program is our SROs, they apply for the position. They test. It's a testing process. It's a competitive testing process. We want to have the right person that wants to be there. You got to want to work with kids. You got to want to work with parents, and you got to want to help them really succeed in the success in life. And then we have a lot of different trainings. We're part of the Arizona School Resource Officer Association, the National School Resource Officer Association. We have a lot of different teachings, but we teach them a lot of things, investigative stuff. They take a lot of initial cases when it comes to child abuse, perhaps, or any kind of crime like that, physical crime, any kind of domestic violence thing that might be going on in the home. So we have training for that, but then we also have them training for de-escalation and way to work with kids and work with staff in de-escalation a situation. We work very closely with the staff at the school on mental health stuff. All our SROs are part of our CIT, our crisis intervention team. They've all got training in that. Adolescent mental health training. We do all these different trainings, do all these in-service trainings throughout throughout the school year. We do a big training week and a half before school starts. We work very closely with Tempe Union with their security guards, Charles Cobb, who oversees safety and security for Tempe Union. We work very closely with them and then also with the other districts in a training prior to the beginning of school. We do stop the bleed training. We partner with the Tempe Fire Department on not only that, but opiate awareness training and all these different things. And then conflict resolution. We do all that. Plus, I also work closely and I partner with the other school districts and the other SRO sergeants and lieutenants that work in the different agencies. So we have quarterly meetings where I meet with my partners and our partners at the Scottsdale Police Department, Chandler Police Department, Phoenix Police Department, different school districts. We all meet at a quarterly meeting that Charles Cobbs hosts over at the Tempe Union High School District office. But it's our ability to talk and interact with the other schools and the other police departments and see what's going on with youth in their community, what's going on in their school, and we share information, and we're all trying to help each other be successful with our program. And we do a lot of other different training. Threat assessment training is a big thing that I have all the SROs go through with the different school districts because it's a key component of what we do to keep our community safe each day. This is just some stats that pulled from last year from our SROs, and look at some of the different numbers. You can take a look there. We have weapon incidents on campus, and part of what we're talking about here, and we're going to talk about some different incidents. Weapons could be a real gun, or could be knives, could be simulated weapons, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Unfortunately, a lot of runaway juvenile cases. We deal with that. A lot of kids from our community. And we're working on that, and we work those cases actively and proactively every day. Assign them with our SROs. We're working with the families. We're trying to get our kids back home. Our restorative justice program, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more on another slide, but there's a lot of things. About 10 years ago when Angel Carbajal was our assistant chief, we really got into this program with our SRO thing, and the last thing we want to do, we do not want to have to arrest anybody. We don't have to do a criminal referral for anyone. We want to look at different options, and we've worked over this last decade in really fine-tuning this and how we can work with parents and how we can work with the schools on different crimes, possession of marijuana, vaping, a lot of things we deal with on a daily basis, how we can interact, or, how we can work on that and work with the community, or, work with the parents, work with the kids, work with the schools on a different approach, not a punitive approach, but a different where they can learn and try to move on from there. And then I mentioned mental health intervention, suicide intervention. There's a lot of things that we work with. Again, we're not the experts at the schools. We have our psychologists, our counselors, our social workers. We work collaboratively with them. And the training that I get our officers that our SROs that just to help to be another presence. If we got to do visits at home, welfare checks, all these different things. So it's a wonderful program, and passionate about the folks that I work with. And if you get a chance, if you ever want to come any of our schools and meet any of our SROs, they're very passionate about what they do, and they love being on our campus and working with our kids. And those are just some of the other stats that I had there. Restorative justice, there's a little slide on that. Again, about 10 years ago, Angel Carbajal was our assistant chief at the time, and we really wanted to look at a program, how we could do, taking like the My Brother's Keeper doctrine and looking at some of the restorative justice approach, how we can do different things. We don't want to, again, the last thing we want to do is have to do an arrest or have to do a referral to juvenile courts for anything. So, we're looking at stuff for this restorative justice thing, nonviolent stuff that we can work with. A lot of times state's the victim or potentially the school's the victim, criminal damage, graffiti. How can we do different things with the kids and work with these kids so they're not being, there's not a criminal referral. They're not going through the criminal justice process, and we work with them a lot. And if you look at the slide, we employ this restorative justice-oriented approach to law enforcement. We work with our, elementary, middle, high schools, with our SROs. The approach includes law enforcement partnering with school administrators. And we're exploring and we're looking for different options. And so been very proud of that program, and we just continue to expand on it each year. This slide, just talks about some gun violence stats in Arizona, 2018 to 2021. where, we're looking at a grade 6 through 12. So for us, it'd be, our middle schools are 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then our high schools are 9 through 12. But look at some of these stats at the time where these were real guns, real firearms that were seized on campuses over this course of these different years. And again, if you look at the numbers, it dropped a little bit during the pandemic years. Remember with 2020, we had pretty much the first semester of the school, and then sometime around spring break is when really the pandemic hit, and a lot of us in-home learning at that time. These are, important on our end is some seized firearms. These are real firearms that we've seized on our school campuses in this period that we looked at from 2018 to 2023. Had one incident per year where, we have a tremendous amount of times when we have airsoft guns, we have things that look like guns, BB guns, Orbeez guns, all these different things. But these were cases, and I'll break it down a little bit here on just when we actually had a real firearm that was discovered on one of our campuses. 2018, one of our alternative schools here in Tempe. This was an interesting case where actually right before school started, the student was across the street at a QT and is paying for his whatever he purchased there, and classmates saw a gun in the back of his waistband, and she crossed the street and told administration. And that was one where, again, and we talk about a little bit later, I'll talk about this theme about reporting, and we have to work together collaboratively. We need these kids to work with us and help us. We need their parents, staff. This was a child that saw this, immediately reported it to administration at the school. Our patrol officers went over there very quickly, and it was no violence happened. Child was detained, and it did have a real firearm in his possession on that case. 2019 was another case we had at one of our alternative schools where a student they had backpacks that they had to come into the school, but you had to check it in at the front desk, and they would stick it somewhere, and it smelled like aroma of marijuana on it. And so administrator was called, they did a search, and they found a real firearm inside the backpack. Our patrol officers were able to get over there very quickly. Again, no violence happened. We were able to separate him from the backpack, and we were able to deal with that situation. Case in 2020, we had one of our high schools, we had a student that was in a classroom toward the end of the school day, and teachers got a large amount of kids in the classroom, teachers teaching or whatever, they were working on a project, but he pulls out of his backpack, he shows the classmate he's got a gun in his, and she perceived it as a real gun. And at one point, I believe he went to the restroom. She advised the teacher, advised administration, our SRO, security guards, administrators went to the classroom. They were able to grab the backpack, remove him from the backpack. When he came back from the bathroom, detain him, and turned out that was a real firearm they had in his possession at that time. Let's see. Which one am I at here? 2021, we had an incident in one of our middle schools, unfortunately, with one of our sixth graders at a middle school, had a verbal altercation in a locker room that led to almost a fight. And there was rumors that he had a gun. And again, it was another incident where a student or two that heard this came to the administrator right away, told the principal, assistant principal, that got our SRO at the time. We were able to go find this young man, remove his backpack from him, and he actually had also a real gun that he had taken from his grandfather that was unsecured. And then, let's see, that was 2021. 2022, another incident in one of our high schools where he had a couple of students that were in the bathroom that were, backpack, pull out a firearm, and they're showing this just at the time a student walks in the bathroom, sees what's going on, and he quickly leaves, goes up and reports the incident. In that incident, that student deathly afraid of retaliation, deathly afraid of anything, and we're able to, in our reports, and list him as a confidential source. So our confidential informant, not anonymous, that we don't know who he is. We can put in our report is a confidential source, advised us of this incident and this thing, and then we know who he is, the school knows who he is, and we were able to quickly detain two juveniles there, and one of them admitted that he brought that gun to school. And so we had that incident. And then 2023, an incident we had this school year, unfortunately, earlier in the fall semester, we had a tip came in. We got some information, but these two boys, they were not going to class and they kept roaming around. Security was able to detain them at the high school. They bring them up to the administrator, and they're acting erratic, and they're acting like potentially they're, I think, impaired, either high or they're impaired by alcohol. They searched the backpack. Administrator finds a firearm, and so 2018 to 2023, one incident per year that we've been able to, again, real firearm found on campus. But again, a lot of incidents where we had a lot of simulated weapons, a lot of things that look like weapons.
Vice Mayor Adams has a question.
Yeah, I'm just curious, when you do find the loaded weapons, what happens then with the student?
Yeah, well, obviously, detained, we do an investigation. Bring a gun on campus, obviously, it's a crime. Minor in possession of a firearm. Gun-free school zones or school zones are gun-free, drug-free. This is the case I talked earlier about restorative justice, where we're trying to work with kids on different things, smaller things. This is a felony crime. This is violence to potential to anyone on that campus. So on each of those cases, each one of those juveniles was booked into our juvenile detention center, and they were charged with a variety of different charges. Some of those, the ones that the kids smelling like, I think the marijuana, there was some drug sales, drug possession that we did our investigation. But on those cases, they are going to be booked in. We're going to have a zero tolerance approach to a real gun on campus.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And if you look at some of these photos here, I mean, you've got. I'll tell you, if you look at the far left, that's a CO2 cartridge. That's a pellet gun, BB gun. So that's not a real gun, but from a distance, looks like a real gun. This second one, that's silver and red, that wasn't a real gun either. That's either an airsoft gun, BB gun, pellet gun, or something like that. But potentially that looks real, right? That's in your back of your waistband. That's in your purse. That's in your backpack. That looks real. That one in the middle is also it's a BB gun, pellet gun, something. Sig Sauer. So Sig Sauer makes real firearms, right? They're real guns, but they also make these, and these cause us all heartache and agony. That looked like, and that was at one of our high schools just within this fall semester. That looks like a real gun. That fourth thing over, that little revolver, that little .22 revolver, that was one of the incidents I talked about. That's actually a real gun. This looks like people in the military folks in the back here. It looks like 50 caliber rounds or whatever those are inert rounds that somebody brought to campus that somebody in the military family member had, but again, not appropriate to have on campus. Way down at the far end, that huge knife and that pepper spray thing, weapons on campus. That second one over, that's also a BB gun, pellet gun. Glock makes that. If you look at that one that's green or brown or whatever that is, I mean that looks real. Another CO2. The rest of them are also all pellet guns, BB guns, but at first glance. Yeah.
All right, so this presentation is centered on gun violence, and as you notice, we didn't have any gun violence in the last 5 years. And those 5 cases, all those cases that Joey went over, I call those near misses. We had guns on campus that could have really caused harm, but they were able to be recovered, taken off of students, and separated. So the programs, the 5 effective programs that we talked about: school resource officers, threat assessments, student mental health, anonymous reporting, community engagement. We check all the boxes on our big 3 as far as our elementary schools: Tempe Union, Tempe Elementary School, Kyrene District. All 5 are in place. All 5 are strong and getting stronger. And so we're doing well on those programs. So in summary, gun violence in the schools remains a critical issue, both nationally, locally, and Tempe. We're focused on that. When we talk about those 5 issues, and I don't need to read them off again, but those are the things that we try to focus on to keep the violence. Teen violence right now is a big topic. And so, but, so gun violence, teen violence, whatever kind of things to keep the students safe, those are the 5 things that are going to really help us in our schools. And so with that, I'm going to turn some time over to Chief.
Thank you, Kim, Joey. So, Mayor and Council, as discussed, the School Resource Officer Program is critical in keeping our schools safe. And there's several things I want to highlight and point out to you that I think is incredibly important. Number one, our SROs, they go through a selection process. We only want the best of our officers in our schools. And the officers who are selected as school resource officers are there because they want to be there. They truly have a desire to mentor and engage with our kids. And they truly have a heart of service. And this program has been a huge success because of the relationships that the SROs build with the students. If you recall the slide with all of the gun incidents we had each year, each one of those was brought to our attention by another student or someone who saw what was going on. And that was because of the trusted relationships that were built, that they had enough confidence and trust in us to report it so we can intervene and take action. The SROs, again, play a critically important piece in school safety, but for me, it's much more. I view the SROs as really my largest community engagement effort. They are making a difference every day in the lives of these young people and changing the impression of law enforcement, which is incredibly important. The SROs also have played a critical role in the prevention and intervention of suicide, bullying, and drug abuse. On one of the slides that was up, there was a number 21 next to suicide. That was actual suicides that were prevented and intervened by school resource officers. They're making a real impact every day in our schools. And as Joey mentioned, our SROs are also in the classrooms, helping to educate on classes such as personal and online safety. So they're really doing a lot more than just being that armed uniform presence. They're making an impact in the lives of these young people. And while we're talking about young people, I want to touch on teen violence, which I'm sure has been on everyone's mind. While we're not immune, our SROs have developed such great relationships and networks throughout our community that they can intervene and prevent a lot of the issues that we're seeing related to teen violence. We've also established great relationships with our other law enforcement partners, which allows us to quickly share information and intervene in these situations and to solve crime when it occurs involving our young people. If there is an incident, our SROs are more than capable to investigate and hold the responsible offenders accountable. The Tempe Police Department SROs are unique. All of our SROs are detectives. They're all trained in conducting complex investigations, and they're more than capable to address any issues that we see on our campus. And I think that makes our program really special. We have people with the heart that want to be there, but they have the skills to definitely investigate and take care of any issues that we see. And as your police chief, I stand committed to addressing all violence, but the Tempe Police Department is laser focused on addressing violence amongst our young people. It's a priority for us to keep our students, our teachers, our staff and faculty safe. And sadly, I'm going to touch on mass shootings because we've seen so many of them across the United States. And I'd like to share with you what our response directives are regarding mass school shootings. So the law enforcement model for addressing active shooters dramatically changed after the tragic events of Columbine in 1999. The model used to be for law enforcement to respond, set up a perimeter to contain the suspect, to contain that threat, and then we would call in heavy resources such as our SWAT teams and other tactical teams to address it. Unfortunately, those tactics were not effective, and lives were lost because of that. So the tactics changed. Now all law enforcement officers are trained to immediately respond and engage to eliminate that threat. Time is critical in these situations. So all Tempe police officers are trained and understand this responsibility. We immediately respond, engage, and eliminate the threat. The implementation of our SRO program only enhances our ability to engage and eliminate threats. With officers being on campus, it just reduces that response time. And again, response time is critical with these situations. We respond, immediately engage. So as we continue to evolve our strategies, the next advances will be in utilizing technology to further enhance school safety. So the creation of our real-time operations center will play a significant role in fighting crime and has the capability to dramatically increase school safety. We're developing partnerships with our schools and hope to establish agreements that would allow the sharing of live video feeds from the schools directly to our real-time operations center. This will provide us with real-time information about incidents or potential threats, thus allowing for that more quick police response time. The video feeds will also give us better situational awareness as we respond, helping us determine the number of suspects, their locations, their identities, and identifying other potential threats. And our real-time center operators will be able to guide the officers directly to where these threats are. Again, eliminating time and allowing us to be more effective in mitigating these threats. So this technology and partnerships will also help in the crime prevention efforts and will also serve as a deterrence factor. The knowledge alone that law enforcement has live feeds and access to school video is going to deter some criminals and bad actors. That alone, just that knowledge. So ultimately, this technology, in combination with our SROs and our response capabilities, will make our schools safer. So in closing, I just want to express my gratitude for your support of the Tempe Police Department and of our SRO program. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sounds good. Councilmember Hodge, then Vice Mayor Adams.
Okay, I just want to thank you guys because I wear my other hat, and this is dear to my heart. This really affects me. I want to give a testimony to my colleagues because they might remember, but they might not know it from our point of view. A few years ago, we did had an active shooter at one of our schools. And it was an active shooter who was going to commit suicide on himself. It happened at Corona del Sol. What we found out later, we can say now, is that our SRO was trying to talk him down. But if she didn't, and it wasn't successful of talking him down because he did die on the scene, but he had a list of people that he had planned to kill. And no one knew that. It took time after that. So even though she might not have felt that she did what she needed to, but she doesn't know how many lives she saved. I can testify to that because that's what I came in on that. That was one of my first things I came into. I also want to say that to give you guys another example is that my son, Jason, who his mom was on the governing board, and he was pulled over by a police officer coming from his school, and he was coming from McClintock, and he was driving my car. And instead of him calling me, he called his SRO. He said, I want to get my SRO, Natalie, who's back at McClintock right now. So when we talk about building relationships, is far and beyond it, which you guys will ever recognize. Their SROs came in when we were in the middle of a pandemic, and they were delivering food to kids who couldn't come and get it at their schools. They were bringing internet from their own cars in areas where there was no internet. So those are things that they won't tell you, but those are things that I know personally that I want my colleagues to understand when we talk about this service and we talk about what happens. They go far and far beyond what we will ever anticipate them doing. Our SROs has built relationships that can be kids of color who don't trust police, but trust their SROs with everything in their heart. So I want you guys to understand that from my point of view as a governing board member, how important, why I will continue to fight on both sides of my life to make sure we keep them in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. Vice Mayor Adams and Councilmember Navarro.
Yes, I mean, this is a great program, and I know that we've gone back and forth over the years, and should we do it, should we not do it? And I'm just really, really happy that we're doing it. And the amount of lives that are being saved, it's hard to make it real clear, but it obviously you guys are saving lives. I mean, that's just from the age of the students and the interventions that you're doing. And you have an incredibly robust program and resources, which is so important. And I just commend you for saving lives. And the second thing is the Real-Time Operations Center. That's going to make a huge difference. I mean, we're going to really able to just pinpoint if there's a shooter in there, where they are. And I'm super excited about that program, very supportive of that program coming to fruition. I know that we're short on police officers, as most of the country is short on police officers, but this is going to be a way to use technology to still have eyes out there and stop these shooters if they so happen to start up. So anyway, I commend you for leading this program. Joey, it sounds like you're really in the thick of it, so I commend you for what you do, and Kim, Chief, and just keep up the great work. I will always be a supporter of SOs in the schools, and the bottom line is you are saving lives and changing these kids that could go one way. You're getting them on a good path to be productive residents in our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, when we have this vote in the governing board, please come and tell that same story and talk for us.
I will,
Because they
absolutely.
need to hear that.
You just let me know. As a social worker myself, I know how these things happen and what a difference that you're making. So I will be glad to tell that story. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Navarro, then Councilmember Garland.
Thank you, Mayor, and Bernadette, thank you for bringing this up. This is outstanding information. I'm glad you brought this as a topic. And I was down there at the meeting, and I dragged Doreen with me to make sure that my voice got heard on this issue. And, I think we all understood. But my mom, 40 years teaching at Gilliland and other schools, she knows the value of, hands down. I heard the stories, how they touch the lives of the kids in the homes, know the people. I've been on, some of those calls on 48th Street and Broadway in the hood and over there, and I'm coming in as a firefighter, and I'm, oh, you're Mrs. Navarro's son, and they know so it's kind of cool that you get to see, the kids within the situation and understand the situations they're in. And you kind of understand the things they have to deal with, and then they come into school and trying to deal with all those issues. And the SRO officers are those people that really kind of bring it down and trying to help those notches. It is invaluable on what this program does, and I'm so glad that we support it, and I always will support it. This is critical. Your passion of handling this is the perfect person for that, and I know that as we go on, we're gonna have more people stepping up, because the people that are in this program are actually absolutely passionate about what they do and how they interact with those kids. If you ask me, it's probably one of the best jobs probably with the police department, just to have that ability, because you are really molding, kids in the right direction and really seeing the effects that they have on the community. So, just passionate about it. I fully understand. I've been personally understand, and I appreciate the presentation because it's well received, and just have to remember it. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you. Councilmember Garland, then Councilmember Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. So it was said here a couple times already, the relationship building that you are making and that your officers are making on the schools, starting with the middle school, I think is wonderful. It's like one of the best things that we could be doing. So you're right, it's a great part of the community outreach that you're doing. I think between the SRO program and our Care 7 program that are in the schools also are hopefully will be game changers for our kids, because they're really needed in those schools. So I will also be supporting those forever, because I think those are the right things to do for our kids, and our kids are so important. One of the questions I have is, you said that the SROs were grant funded from the state. How long is that funding? How long will it go through, and what's the process when the funds run out?
Yeah, so it's a 3-year grant cycle. So we're in year 1 of the 3-year grant cycle.
Okay.
So when we get to we're this school year, I think the 2025, 2026 school year, I think it'll end. And so in the spring of that third school year, then the school districts will then reapply for the grant. We've been very lucky over the years to get the grant funding at the Tempe Union High Schools for our 4 high schools almost every year, and for the middle schools. And so, I think the direction right now with Tom Horn, who oversees I think the Department of Education for the state. So he's a very big proponent of the SROs on campus and that. So I think we're in a good place right now.
Okay, well, if you ever need some people to come up and advocate for you, you've got a few of us up here. And then another one is, so what's kind of frightening to me is that when you showed that there was one gun that was found over those 6 years, in my head, that I'm thinking, okay, that was one found. How many were not found? That makes me a little uncomfortable, and I'm sure parents, if I'm sending my kids to schools right now also, I'm sure when things like that happen that you're sending notices to parents about what was found at the school. So one of the things I was thinking of is, that is a perfect reminder, and it'd be a great reminder other times. Parents are in part of this also. It's the kids that are getting them, are they getting them from their parents because their parents don't have their guns locked up or put in a case somewhere that's safe? So it seems to me that it's like at the beginning of the school year, it's not just you students be safe and parents, we're going to keep your kids safe, but doggone you parents, lock up your guns and your everything else that could be dangerous that the kids could be taken to school. So I think I don't know if you guys do anything like that, but I kept thinking at the beginning of the school year, it's really up to the parents also to be able to help us with this. And then one other positive note I'll end on is the law school classes, the classes that you give the kids. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much for doing that. Really proud of the program that you have, and thanks so much for the presentation. Burdetta, thank you for bringing that to us. Councilmember Hodge, sorry.
Thank you. Councilmember Keating?
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate the presentation. This is something that I wanted to see a while back, I think under our old chief even. When the origin was a resident came to me with concerns about this, and this resident's children weren't even in Tempe schools anymore, but just that letting me know that, hey, this is happening quite frequently, and I'm sure every time you guys have found something, there's probably other instances where you have not. So it was a general concern of just kind of informational. What are we doing? How are we doing it? How, to Councilmember Garland's point, are we educating parents? Are we educating students? And I really appreciate the presentation. It was very lengthy. I know Councilmember Hodge helped with that. So thank you, Councilmember Hodge, for that. I hope that the resident, and I'm not, that was able to see this, was able to find some sort of relief that while it is an issue, and it's an issue nationwide, not just Tempe, that our police force is being very, very proactive in this and doing everything we can to ensure our schools are safe again for future generations. One thing I would say is, I love that you have the anonymous reporting or confidential sources, or however you put it, right? I think that's very, very important. It's important that that be upheld. So you know that these kids don't want guns in their school. They wouldn't come to you, police officers, if they did, if they thought this was cool, if they thought this was helping their learning environment. So the fact that we're doing that, I think, is fantastic. And again, anything we do to educate parents and educate students too, that, like to Councilmember Hodges' point about her son Jason, that your SRO is not there to get you in trouble. Your SRO is not there to throw you in jail or bring you a charge. The SRO is there to protect you and help you. And it's safer to err on the side of caution and go to your SRO than it is to risk something even worse further down the road. So I really appreciate your efforts, what you're doing. I appreciate your work with the school boards. It sounds like you're doing a great job. I was surprised to see at the number of incidences that we've had, and the fact that we have not had a major incident, I think it is a testament to the work that you all are doing. So thank you very much for the presentation. It was very thorough, and I think it had all the information that we were looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hodge?
Okay, I just wanted to say something to Councilmember Garland. We do, in the beginning of the school year, the school district does talk about that with families and friends. But I also want to bring another topic up that I want to see how you guys feel about it. I've been approached by some of our parents who would love to be a part of it, like maybe a working group with the parents, because parents do, they do get involved and they do care. Because I have had them sit in the office with the governing board for the same reasons for that. We have one in the audience right there with Mrs. Kent, who has came to me on numerous occasions, who would love to be a part of the conversation to help with that with parents. So I would love for you guys maybe to think about joining in and get some of our parents and our community people together to start, maybe a working group or something to get that, because no one has, you're right, majority of the accidents things that happen on school campuses, it's been parents' guns mostly. It has been, even down to most of our suicides, we trace it back, it's a parent's gun that they got it from. So I would like, if we can help educate our parents by parents, because sometimes that's part of it, they listen to each other more than they listen as to anybody else. So I'm just saying, maybe with that, I can get you some names of some parents who would love to be a part of that conversation. I think that's something we can do.
Absolutely. We'd love to lead those conversations, and you're exactly right. It's going to take a collaborative effort.
It'll take a village.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
happy to do so.
Okay. Well, you before you leave, you got one right there who is sitting right there behind you. She's waving at you. She's already prepared and ready for it. So you can, and she will be great for the conversation. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, anyone else, any further comments or questions? Wonderful. I mean, everybody said everything I was going to say, so great presentation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm just incredibly proud of our team and the work that's being done. And as I said, I'm committed to ensuring our schools are safe. This will remain a priority for us. So
Wonderful.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. All right. Next up, there is no call to the audience for item number 4 this evening, so we'll go to item number 5, Committee of the Whole. There are no items ready for City Council direction or status update this evening. Next up is item 5B, Council Committees in Progress updates as needed. Does anyone have any updates here about items 5B1, 5B2, or 5B3?
I do.
Councilmember Hodge.
Myself and Councilmember Keaton have our meeting, our work first ready meeting on Monday at, is it 12 or is it 3? 3 o'clock. We're back to 3 o'clock. Okay. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Anything else, anyone? Any other updates? All right, I'll close that portion of the meeting. That turns to item number 6, future agenda items. Members of the City Council may request that an agenda item be added to a future issue review session, but in accordance with the open meeting law, there should be no discussion on the item other than to clarify the request. Do any council members have any future agenda items? All right. Seeing none, I will close that discussion as well. The next item here is mayor's announcements and city manager's announcements. I don't have any announcements this evening, but our city manager I know is online. Madam City Manager, do you have any announcements? She is at the Arizona City Managers Association conference, so continuing to help make the city of Tempe the greatest place on the city on earth. So I see you, Madam City Manager. Any announcements you have this evening?
Good evening, Mayor. Yes, unfortunately, I do have one that is very sad to share with everyone. We had a death in our Tempe family. Benjamin Holm, who works in the Kids Zone. He's worked there since 2022, an employee of our Kids Zone area, but also dedicated employee to our Broadmoor School for the local families there. He lost his life on Monday in a ski accident, and I just thought it would be important to share this with the community. I know our Kids Zone family is mourning. I also wanted to thank our Care 7 staff for helping out. These are really tragic losses for our organization, and thought it would be important to share it with the community. Our hearts go out to to Ben's family. So thank you for the opportunity to share about Ben.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. Definitely very sad, and our thoughts and prayers go to Ben and his entire family and all the people whose lives that he touched. With that said, I will move on to the next item, adjournment. The next regular work study session is scheduled for February 8th, 2024. We're about to adjourn, but council, just want to remind you, we have the Housing Authority meeting directly afterwards, so we'll wait 1 minute so Eddie can turn everything around, and we'll go ahead and get that meeting underway. But this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.